There are so many theories to explain the great unknown. Some people turn it to science, others religion, and of course, there are those that just shove both aside and say that life, as we all know, it just happened. Although this theory turns back into science at the end. Many different countries and races have had religion for as long as there has been a recorded history. And in the more recent times of intercontinental travel, there have been reports of black holes, places where boats and planes just disappear off the face of the earth, the most famous being the Bermuda Triangle. No one really knows why those places exist, or even how they really exist. But there is one theory, spoken a little bit more than whispers due to its controversial subject matter. It is referred to some as the God Theory. As it said during the religion of the King Henry VIII, three high-standing bishops, there was a creation of the church in England that were called into a private meeting. No one knows what was said during this meeting, with the only four men in the room. However, after the meeting concluded, the bishops were quickly taken to aboard the mysterious ship and never seen again. According to one of the bishop's diaries found in the late 1890s, during the restoration of Henry's manors, the king had been acting particularly in the last months leading up to where they were called into the council of the king. He has been rambling in mass, talking about how God was a man-made and how he would make a far better God than any of that the Romans and Hebrews made. The bishop, who was also practiced in medicine, took it as insanity setting in, and ordered that the Henry to be lead, allowed the demons to cause his insanity to escape. After bleeding the king several times in the month, the king's ramblings stopped and the bishop declared Henry sane. It was only a month later that the three bishops disappeared. There were many differing theories of what could have happened to the bishops. One that Henry set them to a harsh and savage land of a form of an exile from the British Isles and the punishment for speaking out against the head of the state. Another that the bishops were simply going back to Rome and assumed similar rules in Vatican. Then, of course, there is the God Theory. The God Theory states that the ship that the bishops aborted was a prisoner ship, floating prison where it convicts the force of languish and upon the sea as punishment for whatever crimes, imagined, real, or the passengers may or may not have committed. On the ship, there were 6 convicts, 3 men and 3 women. The crew along with itself, there was a handful of sailors, 2 guards, and the captain of the bishops. The first stop was in fact Rome. While the ship waited on dock, 3 bishops were taken to the Vatican City, where they were ushered to a meeting in Pope Leo X. This meeting was documented. Although the scroll it was documented close was destroyed, and what can be read from the scroll, however, could change the way people look and view religion forever. What remains of the scroll, it says, Sut atem tris veri isti indolation equa tubers, or whatever. It translates, this language was pretty weird, so it translates to, let these 3 men travel 3 disisolate islands, and attempt to disapprove our Lord God. All evidence of this test is documented, and saved to the future generations will not fail to know the power of the Almighty. This is when the 3 bishops go back to the ship, and were never seen again. Everything from here is purely on percolation, although in such conditions, it would not surprise me if they were in fact true. It is believed that the bishops were dropped off into 3 differing islands, one with each male and one with female prisoner. These islands were tropical in atmosphere and devoid of human life. It's supposed hypnosis that each bishop on his own island, hypnotized by their prisoners, effectively erasing their memories of any previous life. The bishops would often name the male Adam and the female Eve. They rest, as they say, is history. Some hypnotizes that when Adam and Eve were hypnotized, that the hypnosis caused them to only be able to hear the bishop. Time would go on as usual, and left with no means of this island, a civilization was born. Now, due to hypnosis, it is theorized that whenever a pair of Adam and Eve had their children, the children could at first see the bishop, as well as hear him. But after the consistent insist by their parents and consistent ignorance from the bishops, any children born would no longer see them, just hear him if he chooses to speak as God. Time passed, and obviously the bishops would die. They would, of course, were only human. Wherever the new race of humans were able to see this body when he died. No one knows, but it is theorized that at the same time as went, that the prisoners, or Adam and Eve's, had become means of myth or worshipped as forebearers of the human race. As it said, the stories were written in songs. Some would have supposedly conversed of their God, and thus the religion was born. Of course, no one has heard from these people, and if they have met them, they may have not returned from their encounters, and this is where the theory of the triangles come from. You think of these stories as you heard of alien encounters. They try to fly their strange airships, or some insistence they come from the water itself, correct? What if, for example, when these people were left to fend for themselves on these islands, they didn't, for an example, evolve in some way? They were still human, but had certain characteristics changing in them which would transform them into a new form of the human race. And if they were to see civilized human, imagine what they would think. Time traveler, perhaps? Alien or demonic being? Most likely. Now maybe when these people saw the new race set up by Henry VIII, they chose to join them and whatnot. They were most likely a peaceful, relaxed race. Or maybe when the natives saw the civilized people and equipment, they attacked, seeing this civilized race as a threat. Some people can travel through these triangles unharmed, coming clean through them. Others disappear forever, and of course there are reports of the island being seen in the distance. Usually uncharted, yet they do never get charted. Keep this in mind, including the brief mention of alien encounters. It is possible that God's and the world's religions were created by a superior alien race. Keep in mind, in the Bible, it is said that God has made us his image. Well, why not? Don't give it in too much thought on my account, though. After all, it is only a theory. Well, and that, my pretties, was the God Theory, a creepypasta. Wow. I gotta really say, this one was definitely a pretty interesting story. I honestly really thought this was pretty neat and amazing. I mean, I really enjoyed this story. So with that being the case and that being said, I honestly thought this was a pretty good theory as to God, about, these prisoners being put in certain places. And yeah, I mean, I honestly can see that this story honestly was, wow, it was just amazing of how it went, especially with the whole concept and all that. I really thought this was really neat and interesting. So I definitely gotta say it's a pretty good story for what this is. So anyways, with that being said, I honestly really like how this story went out, as it was pretty good for what this one is. With the whole, the fact that these bishops were taken to, away from their places, and they're, living on these islands with a woman, and they're being called Adam and Eve. So it honestly was really something, because I never expected that to be, the case or something or anything like that. I mean, and I honestly didn't even know that was going to be, the case with this story. So it honestly really makes me wonder, about this story, especially with, taking that it's a God Theory. I honestly really like this. I thought this was actually pretty well made and enjoyable, and I personally thought this was pretty neat. So with that being the case, and with that being said, I honestly still find this story to be fun. I can definitely say it's a really fun story. It's pretty well made in detail. I really enjoyed this. It's pretty good, so I could definitely say I honestly really found this story to be pretty damn well made, awesome. So with that being the case and that being said, I'm going to sit here and say that this is just my own opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. Now, to the author of the story, I can't seem to find out who you are. But if you manage to let me know who you are in the comments. Like, I'm not saying that the author is going to come across this video. But if the author manages to find this video, they can comment. Let me know if they're the ones that wrote the story. Because I am more than willing and happy to be sure to give them proper credit. So, that's kind of why I leave, if I can't find the author's name in certain stories, I just leave them as anonymous for now unless they let me know that they're the original author, and then that's when I'll give them proper credit then. So anyways, I could definitely say the grammar is pretty good. I mean, it's really possible Furies. I mean, I can honestly visualize these, these things, and it's honestly pretty damn well made story. It's honestly really good for how well this story is, especially with the whole, what this story is about. I mean, I could see this, actually happening. It's a pretty good Fury, and I can honestly visualize that being the case. But like I said, though, I don't really know if that's actually true or not, or if that's what they did years ago, but like long time ago. But like I said, I don't really know. But I can definitely say I still find this to be, well made and awesome. So, yeah. So with that being said, this is just simply my own personal opinion. If you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas. This is just simply my own personal thoughts. I'm giving this story a 10 out of 10. While I can say it's a pretty good creepypasta, I can honestly see this being somewhat believable. But like I said, I don't really know if that's actually the case. But yeah, I mean, I've been to church a few years ago, and I learned about that, but I haven't been to church in years, to be honest. So, yeah. I was going to want to say I have not been to church in years. So, anyways, I guess with that being said, what did you guys personally think of this pasta? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're new to my channel, like, comment, subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro, because I'm out.